It's time to make my little girl's third birthday dress. I make her birthday dress every year, so I've done it for the last 2 years. And I find that it's just a really nice time to physically be making something whilst also thinking about what the last year has been like how much she's grown, all the memories we've made, and then kind of put all of that love into her birthday dress. And already, even just seeing her first and her second birthday dress next to each other, there's so many memories there and memories of sewing it and where I was at mentally, like what I was going through. And so it's just a beautiful, like, kind of chronological journey of her and me and our journeys through like motherhood and her growing up. It's just a really beautiful process to actually do. So I'm going to make her a version of my own sewing pattern, the hazel. It's going to look a little something like this. My hazel usually has 3 tiers, but I'm going to just condense it down to 2 to make it a bit easier for her to wear. And let me show you the fabric. So this is a beautiful yarn dyed check from Fabelism. Absolutely stunning, right? Like, oh, yarn dyed checks are so beautiful. Yarn dye just means that the individual yarn is dyed and then it's woven together, as opposed to a printed check. Actually, I think this is a plaid. We had this talk about it in the Pride and Prejudice video as to what makes a check and what makes a plaid. So this, I think, is a plaid, but it's so beautiful and I'm excited to use that for her dress. And this is just one of her existing dresses that we already have that I know fits her really well. So I can kind of use it as a base block, I guess, trace over that, get the measurements that I need from it, and use that as a base for the pattern to work off. So we'll use that. Let's do it. So I've taken some other additional measurements here, like her forearm circumference, her bust circumference, kind of where I want the yoke to drop and sit, sleeve length, all that kind of thing. So I'm going to use this as well as the sample dress that I have of hers as kind of a basis and kind of merge the both of them. So I started by drawing just a straight line down the middle, and what I want to do is find the middle of the front, which is about here, pin there, and then the middle of the front down here. So you're just holding the side seams together, stretching it out until you find the middle point, and then you take your center front line where your pins are and you place that on your straight line. Now, to actually get this curve line around here, I'm going to use a pattern making awl just to kind of like make little dots around the neckline to get the exact kind of shape, so you can actually poke it through the fabric without really damaging it that much, just along the neckline. You can also use a I forgot what they're called, those little spiky roller things, but I don't have one on me. And that's the center front. Just a reminder for me to add some allowance. And that's the back, that's the shoulder point, and then it starts going down here. This is the underarm point. I'm also going to copy the armhole. Okay, so if you can see those little dots around here and around here, so I can just fill that in, just like join the dot. Okay, so now I've got the front neck and my armhole. So lengthwise, do that. All right, so looking at my measurements here, I just want to, here we were looking at 7 centimeters down from the front neck drop, and then I said 10 centimeters from the side neck, so that would sit around here for the yoke. So we're going to try it. Just take that corner. So I do this until I find like a nice curve that I like, that looks good. It feels kind of organic. That looks good to me as a yoke. I think there's just a little keyhole, maybe about here. Okay, and this is the second important part. So we still want to be capturing that kind of bottom half of the armhole curve, because that will be making for this little bit here, because you still kind of want it to fit around the armhole nicely. I think we were saying 17. Okay, so this will be the waist seam, that'll be the hem. We draw a straight line out from here, draw a slightly curved angle. Cool. So you've got your yoke, waist, hem panel. Now I'm just tracing over the lines that I'd already made. That's front yoke, center front fold. And then you need to put a notch here where that's going to match up. Add a little notch in here for armhole. And remove this up. I'm going to trace off the back yoke, which is just the same but without the keyhole. So it's going to go up there. So we're following the back neck line up here. And we're still filling in that little notch area. That's going to be center back fold. Back yoke. Okay, and then we're going to move this up again. Follow this line, follow the armhole line, center front fold, waist panel, and then center front fold, and panel. Okay, now these two yoke pieces are good to go. I just need to cut it out with seam allowance on it. So I'll quickly do that. Obviously, no seam allowance on the center seam because it's going to be cut on the fold. What I'm going to be doing with these two is, because they're both going to be gathered panels, this one's going to be split and opened, but then this one's going to be split and opened double whatever's been split and opened here, because it needs to be more gathered than this to like get that effect. So I'm going to do it first to the waist panel, and then we're going to see what it's measuring, and we're just going to double that for this one. But because you've kind of got a curve here, you want to be able to evenly distribute the gathering kind of along that curve. So I'm going to do that slash and open method as opposed to just doubling a kind of rectangle and just upping the ratio. So this is going to be a split and open method. And to make sure that you do it on the right ratio, we need to have a line so we know where we are. It's all matching up. I'm going to keep that on there. Okay. I'm going to place this one on the first line where it matches up. I think I'll add about maybe 3 centimeters in between each cut. Now what we can do here is we can follow that line relatively evenly and make sure it looks like that. And then another piece, lay it on top. And then trace over. So we're going to draw the center front line first. Okay, center front fold slash center back fold, because you can use this for front and back. So I just like to do that to know that I'm gathering it. And we're going to be adding seam allowance all the way around. So front and back waist panel. So now we have this panel, which is this, center front. This panel here needs to be double whatever this measurement is. So I'm actually just going to do a rectangle for this one because it is pretty much just a square anyway. I'll just add a slight angle on the side seam. So let's do that. So now we've got the sleeve. So what I'm going to do is just create a rectangle first, and then I'm going to kind of get the little cutout bits for the armhole just in this area here. But we're just going to use the cuff circumference. We're going to double that. So it's here, it's 15.5, so it's going to be 31 centimeters in width. All I'm going to do is match that up with the side seam of the sleeve panel, and I'm just going to copy this curve here in the armhole. So matching up the side seams until this point here reaches the top, and this point reaches the side, and we can just use the awl again to do the little dots. And just copy that. And because the front and back armhole is pretty much the same thing, it's going to be top of the sleeve here, so I can actually just fold it and cut it out the same way. So then you're mirroring it. I'm going to add 2 centimeters on the hem of the sleeve just to get that kind of double roll that I need to put the elastic through. So we've got the front yoke, front and back waist, the bottom panel, the sleeve, which will be like in half like that. You keep going in. And then yeah, just the back yoke. So they're all the pieces that we need.
From the first moment I saw you, I knew I had to make you mine. Wanted to know everything about you. I didn't want to waste no time. What's something I can do for you, darling? That would make you smile. I'll bring you flowers, girl, enough to see for miles. Something's changed, baby, this I know. Summer rains turn to winter snow, but I promise you for sure, girl, my love is always yours. Something's changed, baby, this I know. Summer rains turn to winter snow, but I promise you for sure, girl, my love is always yours. I love your style, and I love your grace. Said I love to put a smile on your pretty little face. I love it when you're close to me. That's where I want you to always be. I didn't know when I found you that I would find.
Okay, it's officially done. I added two little touches that I think are actually so perfect and that I know she's going to love personally. So, how cute is it? So, these are the two little additions. I added some little patch pockets because she's at that stage where she just wants to like get little trinkets and put them in her pocket. So, I think she's going to love that. And the little puff sleeve. That's the back. So cute. I love it. I'm so happy with it. And I think she's going to love it too.